Lisa, it looks like this was done at the end of April.
These were received just the other day.
I'm just saying.
Okay, can we
coordinate that to where this...
We can if we get them early enough, yes.
I know, I'm working on that, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Our financials are, you know, I mean, I can give you my inspection report and stuff, maybe the financials are pretty, you know,
Delays.
don't have a whole lot.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't mesh.
Okay, we're working on it. It's a work in progress. Okay. All right, I skipped number 6, I'm sorry. So, discussion of the trees behind Monge, am I saying that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. So, they did have an ARC approval. The trees that are there are not the trees that need to be there. So they need to be removed and other trees installed. So I know we sent them a letter that wasn't delivered or received.
But that was the original letter.
That was the original letter.
So they got it either via mail or email, because they were here last meeting.
Right.
Again, I talked to Mr. Monk today that the mail was right. No, he even said on the call, I don't have $20,000 to plant trees.
Right.
Okay.
So, my take from the last meeting was we were giving them a list of trees to replace.
Right.
And I don't think that's happened. That's what I was telling you earlier.
No.
I thought Charlie sent Mrs. Monk in the board meeting a list of allowable trees.
Well, she was sitting here.
She wrote down her email address.
Can you just...
And it didn't kick back, it actually got
Can you send
first
that email to me? Because I just talked to them today, and they said, we haven't received, again, they're just saying, we haven't received any instruction.
Okay.
So I said, until you receive something in writing from us, don't do anything.
Okay, so these are the 5 trees that need, so the current trees, not 5, 3 trees? Okay, so those trees need to be moved,
Right.
and the proper trees need to be replaced.
I think there were 2 palm trees.
Just 2?
The 2 royals.
Yeah,
I thought they were royals.
No.
So I can email them. Chuck, if you can send me that, I appreciate it. Or just send it to CDD. I can email them.
Okay.
And tell them to, or, you know, what I verbally told them today, which is like,
Okay.
don't do anything until you get it in writing.
So we're going to email them and tell them that those 2 trees need to be removed, and
Here's a list.
here's a list of these 5 trees.
Could you say those real quick, out loud?
The 5.
5 trees?
Cabbage palm,
Cypress,
cypress,
slash pine,
Chuck's looking,
Yes, slash pine, cypress, holly.
holly.
Dahoon, or does it just say holly? And I think red maple.
In this fine print here.
Yeah, there's
Okay, you got live and laurel oak, cypress, maple, slash pine, and cabbage palm.
Okay.
Cypress isn't one of them?
Cypress, yes.
Oh, you said cypress?
Yeah. Cabbage
Live and-
palm, cypress, slash palm, holly, live and laurel oak.
It's right, it's in that diagram, right, Chuck?
Yeah, it's in the upper right-hand
Yeah.
corner of the
Yeah.
picture.
So the holly's not one of them?
You got
Oh,
to
this one.
well, you can blow it up and.
Yeah.
I got, that's 6.
Yeah.
That's 6.
Wow.
So
Or 7, actually.
I didn't have this as an agenda item since they called me today.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have some things I did as well, but, so on the Monge standpoint, I'm gonna email them, inform them, or send them Chuck's email again, and also inform them, move your 2 palm trees onto your property.
And install
Right.
2 of these trees.
Well, that should be yes.
Yes, they need to remove their palm trees onto their property and put the required trees on our property.
Yeah.
They need to remove
Okay.
trees from CDD property.
Right.
If they want to put it on their property,
Yes.
they need to go through the appropriate channels.
Right.
Right. Okay. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page on that.
So that's what,
In the meantime, I put this together. Again, everybody's done their copy.
Yes, sir.
okay, and before we start, I spoke with Stan, and Stan, who else is in, from the ARC? They are requiring a site plan for anybody that wants any tree work done? Stan, was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
That's okay. So with the ARC now, if anybody wants to do any landscape work, you're asking for a plot plan.
Yes, we're asking that they give us a survey of the plot that they are on and where the trees are supposed to be. If they're outside of that plot, then we automatically tell them no.
Okay.
Deny their request.
So at that point, you would tell them no.
Correct.
If they wanted to continue, they would have to come to us.
Right, now, how do we get any verbiage from the CDD, whether it's been approved or denied?
Well, that's something that we'll have to work on, because
Working on that.
Because if somebody comes to you and you deny it, and they come to us, and, you know, this is a work in progress. I'm just thinking if you have somebody that's requested that you've denied, just to let us know, we can work it out, how are we going to do that? If it comes to us, then we can go back to you and say, we've approved it, now they have to get, I guess, your approval again. But I guess this is a work in progress, or we have to work together.
Okay.
But at this point in time, until we get things finalized, I would say anything that involves landscaping, you should get a plot plan. And if it's off their property, deny it, and then just let us know, so we know that they're not going on our property. And then we'll firm up the plans as we go on. And I can sit and work with you guys on that.
This really hasn't been a big problem because of the Asian community. Trees are getting bigger. Cypress trees, knees are expanding.
Ficus are getting ugly.
So, again, I just kind of attempted to put some wording together. I think we need to have a policy. The first one is pretty much what we've said from all along. If you have a tree that's on CDD land that's encroaching onto your property, you have the right to cut the roots, the limbs, whatever it is, as long as it's on your property, even though the tree's not on your property. Now, I've gone a little further here because honestly, I mean, I'm kind of looking at the potential issue myself, but I think that's a little disingenuous, really, because we have a tree that's there, that's a problem. As we've talked about, trees continue to grow, so you can cut the cypress knees back, you can cut the roots back, you can cut the limbs back, but they're just going to grow again, so 5 years or whatever, several down the road, you're going to have the same problem. So, I don't know if number 2 we can even do.
Want to cut down a tree? Yes. If the board wants to, again, they have to be, I think, again, with the boards, after the discussion today, I think this will work with you, the board sort of directs to come up and revise this. And I think it's on this district property, and it's on district land, and the board can have an application form come before the board to get the approval, and then have an agreement for that. The authorization would be provided by the district to remove a tree provided they plant an appropriate replacement tree as approved by the board. Yes. And again,
So, in a
we have to
nutshell,
make sure
the-
the development are being
Right.
complied with and everything else.
The resident would have the ability to come to the CDD and request to remove the tree as long as another tree would be planted somewhere else on CDD land.
And again, part of that agreement would also be all harmless indemnification and insurance,
Right.
because they're going to make sure they hire a licensed contractor.
But yeah, so there's a lot of wording, but I think that in the long term is another option for the resident, because again, you know, anybody that has a cypress tree in the back of their nose, you can cut, but they're still going to continue to grow. So,
Real quick on this, at what point in time Because I thought there's a new rule, that does this resident now have to go to the Village of Estero? Where in this, should they do that first? Should they do that second after they get our approval? Because don't you have to get a permit from the Village of Estero as well to?
Yeah, I think once again, that's part of complying with all LDO village requirements. I think that's part of the process. And I think from the standpoint of coordinating with the association, when an application is received as a public record, I think you just forward it to the association so they can monitor it and know when it's going to be on the agenda, when it's always published.
Right.
And then, again, the approval is always subject to them getting the approval by the Village of Estero.
So that should be their first step.
Until they get
So
the
we're-
requisite insurance and licensed contractors information and the approval from the village if necessary, all those kind of items.
Right, so,
Yeah, we have a form right now for trees, and you can download it from our portal
okay.
under the forums. So if you guys want to review that, maybe incorporate that, or give me some suggestions on how to proceed.
Because it has all, everything you just talked about is on it.
Okay.
So the insurance requirement from the contractor, the permit requirement, all of that's.
So you would actually already have it. You would most likely receive it before we would.
Well, what we could do
Because
is
most people are going to ARC, as the
we can
example
put in a
shows.
line item that says, must have CDD approval.
Okay. Well, Tony, if they have that form, and they can send it to you, you can look at it, we can work on this
It's on
together.
CDD property.
But, so they would go to the ARC would deny it, they'd come to us, we would approve it based on the fact that they got the permits from the town, and then come back to us, show us the permits, and then they could do it. That would be the steps. Make sense?
Sounds good?
Okay.
Makes sense. The only-
Guys, that's really good. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about making it easy for the homeowners.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and that's why I kind of started on this,
Yeah.
that we have to have
This is
a
great.
policy and more. The only thing that I'm aware of, Chuck, isn't there some sort of regulation on how many trees we have to have around a lake?
Yes.
I think it's back to development.
That's actually called out in that plan.
So it's in that,
So that if they take, like, the 5 trees that were taken down, you can't just plant 2, you've got to put 5 more.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Again, that gets back to comply to the development order, and that could be, again, a document that they get a copy of that.
okay.
And so that they understand what they have to do, that can be part of the board's approval process also.
but could they plant them somewhere else on the lake then?
There's distance requirements, aren't there, Chuck, and clustering requirements?
And who decides where? Is the Village of Estero going to say that has to be on the same lake that they were taken off of, or is it going to be somewhere else on the
Yeah,
property?
They have to
It
be
is on the
they
map.
have to be on the same lake.
Same lake.
Because it's a calculation of the linear feet
Okay.
surrounding the lake and the number of trees to be on it.
But you may also, if they put it somewhere else on district property, but behind somebody else's property.
Yeah.
Well, no, clearly we would put it behind somebody else's house. But if we do have a lake that has a preserve or common area, all I'm saying is planting another tree where a tree is already causing a problem isn't really an answer.
Well,
It's just gonna be another problem 10 years down the road.
Well, that's where selection comes in handy. You get 6 species to choose from. The cabbage palms are going to be the least invasive
That's what I was
from a root
saying.
perspective. So if roots are your concern, I'd go cabbage palms.
yeah. So
No, I agree 100%.
And they did suggest, the landscape architect for the village suggested staying away from the maples. They have seasonal problems. They drop leaves, so they're not that attractive during the season when people are here. So.
And then one other question, so if a resident goes, is their approval going to be automatic upon the Village of Estero? What if at this particular lake, half that lake is going to be homeowner property typically, and half of it's going to be CDD property because of the way the properties line up? What if there's not a good spot for this tree, or what if, you know what I mean? So I don't want residents thinking like, hey, if we get approved by the Village of Estero, we're going to get automatically approved by CDD.
No.
And what's that criteria going to be, right?
Okay, I'm thinking they would go to the ARC would deny it, they would come to us, we would either approve or deny it. If we approved it, it would be based on the fact that you must get approval from the Village of Estero. And once you have the approval from the Village of Estero, bring that to us, then you can start the work.
In my understanding, we're only talking about trees on district property.
Yes. So if I have a tree in my backyard, I just have to go to the York to cut it down. because it's
Backyard meaning on your property.
On my
Yeah,
property.
because some people might think it's in their backyard, but again, in the
Yeah,
case of the mine.
you're right, Tony, yeah.
There were 2 tracks between them and those.
And I
That's
kind of just
why-
forgot about it. Tony's right, because that's our property. I mean, or the
Right.
CDD's property, that 13 or 10 feet.
That's why I asked the York to get a plot plan before, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they do that. So I think that's kind of where we're going. I think that would be the best. I think that the steps would be the best. ARC, CDD, the village, come back to the CDD, then commence
Yeah,
work.
what I also suggest, and I'll work with Chris and Chuck on it, the form is also that they provide aerial photographs. The legal website has phenomenal photographs
Okay.
of the property, as far as
Year
showing
over
the-
year over year over year.
Can we just have one meeting?
Yeah, so they have great graphics that you can identify, they can identify what they want to remove and where they want to put the new tree, as well as the site plan or plot plan and survey. That way you have a good record.
Cool.
All right, so again, the draft, and we'll take it from there.
Stan, I'll give you a copy of this.
Okay.
Just what our suggestions were. Yes, you have a question.
Yeah, Chuck previously emailed me the minimum number of trees, or the number of trees required around specific lakes in the community.
Okay.
So I live on lake number 7. And there are way more trees around that lake than what the county has identified as what needs to be on that lake. So in that instance, if I, and I do have problems, as John knows, with these cypress needs. In that instance, if I needed to have a couple trees cut down, and the village approved it, because there's way more number of trees around that lake anyway, I wouldn't think I would have to
Replace.
plant new trees.
That's a good point.
That I think would be spelled out in your LDO that you would get from the village. But you could make that case with them. Let them make the call on that, because ultimately they're going to be the ones that come knocking on our door if there's not enough trees.
Do we have to abide by the land development order that we were issued?
I just want to make sure that's the understanding.
No, that makes sense,
But I
yeah.
guess the clarification is, if those trees are all on district-owned property,
Right.
still would need to come to the district.
Right, to get permission.
For permission to engage in that activity on the district property.
Well, wouldn't the person go to the village as the first step? Because without them, nothing's going to move forward.
Well,
That's what I was asking earlier. Should they go to them first? And
Well,
then,
then the only question would be whether the village requires the requisite proof as to where the property is, where the tree is relative to the property.
I hope they could figure that
I
out.
hope they could, but I've run into situations in other areas, well, but I've had other situations in other districts where improvements have been authorized to go into a district lake or through a district tract of land without going to the district.
right.
Okay.
Well, I would think, based on the fact that the ARC is asking for a plot plan, we're going to look at it, I think, and that would be the least cost-effective, least cost to you to do that, and timing, we could get that done
Well, I
rather
know for a
quickly.
fact that it's CDD property.
Right.
yeah.
And where's Lake 7?
About right across the street from the pump house, Chatham.
Oh, okay.
I will say, devil's advocate one more time, just sorry to keep doing this, but I almost think it should be a tree-for-tree policy, just because on one lake, all right, what if resident A, B, and C do it, and they didn't have to plant trees, but now they cut so down many trees, the next resident does it, has to. That's not fair to them, right? So maybe do a tree-for-tree policy?
Yeah, I
That's
think,
what I was trying to get us out of that.
When-
Trying to decide who gets,
Yeah.
to not have to put trees back in.
Right.
Let
And
that
you know-
be the village, make that decision.
Well, also,
Right.
we need to decide if we want to have one uniform tree that we're going to replace with. Like, the cabbage palm seems to be the least invasive. Why don't we just decide that's the tree that we're going to approve?
The roots are a big problem.
I think that would be, unless,
Try to keep it as simple as we can.
yeah, I mean, I think the cabbage palm to be the best, unless a homeowner really comes up with something different.
It's on the list if that's what they want,
We
but
can discuss it, but we can push for the cabbage palms. Okay.
I should have been a lawyer.
all right.
Any more discussion on this?
Please no.
Chris, you're going to work with?
And she got all the secretary's got contract.
Something like that, eventually. One at a time.
Cypress tree.
Okay. So we're done with trees?
Hopefully.
Okay. Number 8, the landscaping on Corkscrew Road. John and I have already discussed that, what we're going to be doing with that. Again, Johnson Engineering and Juniper and,
Dorman and Morse.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're looking at plans, going to give us estimates. The road won't be done, what did he say, the end of this year, laughingly,
He said it's supposed to be done by the end of this calendar year, end of 2023.
as he was chuckling.
And he said it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
But they have suggested that we try to do what we can of our landscaping sooner than later so that there is something there when the fence comes down and it's not all small plants. So we currently have 2 vendors working with Johnson Engineering in the village to give us plans of what plants they think they can and what we can do. So, we're working on that now. John has checked the irrigation, and we're checking the irrigation.
Yeah, finding it, no irrigation, and utilizing it and making it
Because
sort of
Cougar
work.
did destroy some of the irrigation, so, we're working on that. So I highly doubt that the road will be done this year. I know you're all surprised. But the landscaping will probably be starting sooner than later. So we're working on it.
Did they give any indication on the sidewalk?
Well, yes, the sidewalk from our back gate for about, 100 yards, 50 yards?
100, roughly.
Okay. Because of the path, Florida Power and Light is going to bury those lines. So we're waiting for Florida. So nothing more can be done until Florida Power and Light.
Yeah, so if you're at that intersection looking left, which would be west, there's like 5 poles starting from there that are going to get put underground, but then the rest are going to stay above.
So with that being said, it's all based on when Florida Power and Light does it.
Yeah.
So don't hold your breath. Just saying.
Can I ask a question, maybe you guys know or not? Are we still on the grid with,
No more,
May?
no.
Nope, the apartments are, and the college.
okay,
So, and then with the other thing with going out the front here, that one concrete pole is coming down. There's one other pole that's going to come down. And the 2 silver boxes that are out there, the smaller one will be removed. What we're going to do with the other one is we are going to have it wrapped with, it looks like a ground cover. Or we can have it blend in, do flowers or palm trees or something. So that silver box won't be such an eyesore, it'll be wrapped. They have some out in Cape Coral, some down in Naples. I saw quite a few over on the East Coast.
Marco, yeah.
Marco.
They look nice. They're
So
better
some
than
of them
looking
have
at.
dolphins, some have, but this one, based on where it is, it's just going to be wrapped in like a green ground cover.
Yeah.
And that will be at our expense, and to maintain it, but it's minimal for that, and it'll look much nicer, so. We'll only have 2 poles and the 1 box, yes.
I just have a question. You know how you have the wall going on the other side? Actually, it's on Cook, it's where you go to the design center?
Yeah,
Was it never thought of to put a wall?
that's not our wall.
Miramar.
Miramar's wall. You're welcome.
And that's why it's still in disrepair after the hurricane.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, and again, you said they're not going to add to the berm at all?
So she was talking about the berm out here on Corkscrew.
Right. You're saying there is a berm, and you're frustrated over here.
No, as far as I know, there's no plans to add dirt to build it up, to make it any higher.
So it's just going to be whatever shrubs that you guys put in for now, and then...
As they grow up, it'll be completely full, it's going to be a wall of hopefully collusia or something like that, yeah.
And trees.
And trees. It has to be every 100 linear feet, there has to be a cluster of hardwoods and stuff, so it'll be some kind of, and then the county is also going to have, or the Village of Estero is going to have, in front of that,
They're gonna have
they have like 20 feet from the edge of the sidewalk that they're gonna plant stuff, but it's not, it's gonna be terraced, so they're gonna have lower ground and then it builds up.
You guys aren't going to take out anything on the other side of that.
There's nothing there. There isn't anything. There's some big oaks, but there's just tall weeds and grass, and then all get, probably taken out, sprayed out, and then,
We're not taking out any more trees. We're just going to take out
yeah,
the weed cover that's there.
yeah. That's a non-mowable leg. There's no, I mean, when I say non-mowable, with a piece of equipment, you'd have to weed eat it, hand weed eat it, or it's just too steep. It's not very secure. I slipped in it the other day. It's pretty slick. It's bad. It's, you gotta be very careful walking on it.
So why did I have back surgery?
No, that happened at the house.
Okay. So
No
that's where we are with
workman's
that. Okay. Number 9, consideration of the budget. This is our,
Yes, this, as you all know, is just the kickoff to the budget season. Tonight's really just a formality of approving this proposed budget, setting your public hearing date, which I would recommend being your August 22nd regular meeting date, to final adopt this, and then we'll be working on this over the next couple of months in detail.
yes.
Tonight really just kicks this off and meets the legal requirements.
I think it is.
6 p.m.
Yeah, it should be.
You're missing all the fun stuff.
No, just the good stuff, guys. This very gets really interesting.
Okay.
Happy hours almost over.
Make that motion.
And second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now with Jeff being kind of out of pocket right now, Adam will be doing a good portion of the work, and John and working with Tyler up at the pro shop. Chuck can answer questions from you.
That's fine.
So, but I think, again, I don't want anybody bothering Jeff at this point. So, so is the budget done, Adam? Just about?
Jeff and I have worked on the revenue portion of it a little bit, so, yeah.
I think we're going to need to do some massaging on this
Yeah, we got some work to do.
based on this number, but just preliminary, I see some areas where we can definitely make some adjustments. That's a big nut.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a product of infusing some extra revenue last year, not having that extra revenue available this year. So
Right.
we're going to look at our expenses, I think, to get that down where you need it to be.
Okay. All righty, and,
We're on to 10 at this point for your meeting schedule for next year.
next year.
That's just essentially the same meeting schedule that you've had for the last several years. We still have peppered in here 3 6:00 meetings,
Right.
being May, June, and August. All meetings in which we do a lot of work on the budget.
The budget.
So make sure we're in the evening and allowing everybody the opportunity to participate.
I make a motion to accept the meeting schedule. Phil would like all 6 o'clock meetings.
Did you add one?
We've got 3 of them.
Well, we always have had a couple.
Yeah,
You always have 3.
Now
We got 3. We used to have closer to like 5, I think. It was almost like, it was nearly half of them were 6 o'clocks. But we found out that we basically had the same faces in here.
Also, before they were being recorded.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Now anybody can sit down at their leisure and watch the meeting.
Yeah, some more, 2 more.
2 more what?
Phil wants to buy a vowel.
You're killing me, small.
Buy a vowel.
I got kids, man.
Well, February used to be a 6 o'clock. Do you want to do, I'll go with February to be a 6.
February 6th? Or
February 27th, so, yeah.
You could take June 25th to 9 a.m. and then do February at 6 p.m. and then we're still maintaining the 3.
I'm good with that.
So February 6th, what's going to 9? February
Go to
6th, right?
9.
February's going to 6.
And what's going-
June is going to go to 9.
June's going to 9, I like it.
I thought you guys wanted 2 more.
Well, we do, but they're not budging. We're negotiating.
It was a good negotiation.
This is the debt ceiling discussions going on.
Okay, so 6 PM in February, 9.
We didn't get any. So
We didn't get any.
We'll make a proposal. What do you
You got the change?
I mean, your negotiation skills are lacking, guys.
You got to speak.
You suggested, you,
I want all 6 p.m.
yeah, me too.
Let's go half and half. Let's meet in the middle. Phil and I'll compromise. Let's meet in the middle, go 6
It
and
makes
6.
no difference.
You can say no.
I'd like to leave it the way it is, 9 and 3.
What do you want?
You want to call it question?
You want 5? Which ones?
November 28th.
How about we move it to 5 PM? And then back it up an hour and,
Says the guy that has to get up at 4 the next morning.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You want the November meeting to be late?
it doesn't, really- I have no dog in this hunt. I'm at your mercy, it don't really matter to me. It really doesn't.
Give us
I
one.
will say
Give us
that,
one.
I will say, if you're gonna do one, November, December, those are typically pretty
Yeah.
short meetings,
Yeah.
well, especially December.
Okay, we'll take November and December.
Because it's,
Everybody's in a good mood.
well, there just hasn't been, we don't have the financials
You don't
for
have-
either one.
Yeah, November and December are very light.
So we're saying
No,
6 for
when-
those?
That's just that time on trees.
I mean, I'm
We
just-
can't talk about trees in the November and December meeting.
Oh, yes, we can. Christmas trees.
It's a true story.
I would say probably what, November? would be a
Tree.
better one?
Let's do November at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, there's always something going on December,
Yeah.
Yeah.
holiday related.
So you got one, Phil, maybe next year you'll get another one.
I thought you just got 2.
You guys got to bring your stronger
I
negotiations.
thought you just got,
Well, it's 2 against 3,
November,
and there's not much we can say.
February,
well, what about November and December?
Yeah, he did get
May.
He got 2.
Not November?
6
November we changed, December's this.
Oh, no, that's right.
just one, because we moved one.
That's right, June was the smallest.
Okay, so you have 4. You're gaining on it.
So just for future reference, can we go over the changes?
October's morning, November's evening,
Got it.
December's morning, January's morning, February's evening, March and April are morning, May is evening, June is morning, July is morning, August is evening, September is morning.
Got it.
So there's been 3 changes.
Yes,
November 28th is changed to 6 PM, February 27th to 6 PM, and then June 25th to 9 AM.
yes.
That's it.
Same but different, right?
Yeah, same but different.
Same but different.
Okay. All in favor of the changes in the schedule?
Aye.
All opposed?
Me.
I got 3.
I'm kidding.
Switzerland.
I'm kidding.
No, you have, no vote is a for vote, so if you.
I'm voting for
If you're
yes.
against it,
But it's unanimous,
It's
yes.
unanimous.
It's unanimous.
you're all for it?
Yeah.
We're all for it.
Wonderful.
Makes life
We
easier.
like harmony.
Yes. Okay,
We're going to dig in on the next negotiation.
okay. But no, you can't get paid any more than you get paid.
Right.
That's a done deal.
We going straight into the minutes?
No, we have to go to budgets.
Oh, yeah, we got the budget.
The
Yeah, you
financials.
get some stuff, the financials this month.
Financials, okay.
With that,
We got March and April.
Well, April's not full. That's it. I mean, if we're going to look at March and April, do we have to really look?
Yesterday.
Was there anything outstanding in
late
April? We don't have all the stuff for April.
Just want to tell you guys, you do awesome.
well, thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. And I told you I'd get your trees.
Yeah, they are still, they were able to get the information out of NBC Universal for March, but they're still working on getting them for April, so that's why you're short the golf course operation. It's been a real challenge.
Okay.
Is that golf now?
It's getting there.
Golf now?
That's me, isn't it?
No, it's the NBC Universal. There's a couple of guys over there. Kieran in particular is one gentleman that's working this hard, but there's been some problems with just, they're dealing with...
The transmission
They're
is
dealing with the closeouts of the drawer every day, which leads to some variances, which leads to a lot of questions and things not tying out. So Kieran's been really good at being able to bring that together, but it is time consuming on his part to do that. So. But we'll get there. We will get there.
Yes, we will.
Just
If we went cashless, would that,
cashless is always fantastic. Absolutely.
would that make these problems go
Well,
away?
yeah, because you're building the record every time you swipe the card.
Yeah.
And you're just building the record. Now you're not having to sit there and close out drawers with cash involved.
Most private clubs are that way now, so, and most clubs, I think, are that way.
Might be thinking.
Well,
We already went cashless.
The only
in the
thing we
pro
have,
shop.
the concession stand is the only cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does this getting tied up with concession stand?
It all ties together.
Makes no sense.
Well, I mean, we can
Then we just go cashless.
do that.
Good idea.
I think it makes everybody's life easier, but I'm curious as to what Jeff's opinion on that might be.
I'm not calling them.
Well, we can talk about it for,
At the next meeting.
Yeah, but I think
So
that,
mull it around, but yeah.
okay.
there must be a reason, because we went cashless.
Well,
in the
I
pro
think-
shop, what, 5 years ago?
I think-
Maybe longer?
Maybe tips or something.
I think it was tips, and I think it was out on the course.
You can do it on a credit card.
Credit card.
So,
I mean, I don't see why we shouldn't. I mean,
Yeah, I've even seen beverage carts that don't accept cash, so
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
just a swipe or a
yep.
And I think what we would have to do is if we're, let's just say we agreed on it tonight, we would have to make it effective like July 1st or